Getting to know Kate Lyndsey on Pro Cuddle Hustle podcast. Hello, my beautiful listener. 'Tis I, your host, Felicity. And if Kate sent you here, thank you for finally giving my podcast a listen. I hope you listened to my other episodes. I'm very proud of my work for the past 4 years. For everybody who's tuning in for the first time, howdy. My name is Felicity Azura. I've been a professional cuddler since March of 2018, and I've been a podcast host since late 2019. I've worked for several companies such as Cuddle Comfort, Cuddle Connect, RIP, Cuddle Up, Snuggle Salon. I don't know if I'll ever work for a cuddle agency ever again. I very much enjoy being an independent cuddler. But if you look up the word independent in the dictionary, you will find a picture of Kate Lyndsey. Kate is a professional cuddler from Matawan, New Jersey. Her pronouns are she, her, hers. New Jersey is in the New England region of the United States. Kate is a newly trained Cuddlist. Cuddlist, with a capital C, is one of the most recognized cuddle companies in the United States. They take their certification program very seriously. Back to Kate. Although she is new to professional cuddling, she is a seasoned businesswoman. In addition to cuddling, she is also the manager of a pet care business in New Jersey. Kate accepts in-calls and out-calls. Her in-call is accessible by public transit. Kate believes, in regards to touch, quote, "It doesn't take much from the one who gives it, but can make a huge difference in the one who receives it," unquote. She would like to wish everyone happy Pride Month. In her words, quote, "It's important to stand up for others, support each other, and preach love, not hatred or intolerance," unquote. How do you say cuddling in your language? We're stuck in legal limbo because sex work isn't decriminalized yet. Why is there a Wikipedia page for cuddle parties, but not for professional cuddling? No, Felicity, it's facilitator, not felicitator. It's not a replacement for therapy, but it is therapeutic. Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Can you please tell the audience about yourself?
You saw that I do cuddle therapy, which I do. That's kind of more of a side hustle that I'm just starting out. I'm playing around with how to advertise and generate clientele, but my main job is I run a pet care business. We do pet care, dog walking, pet taxi. I have 3 people on my staff, so that's been working out pretty well for me. I've been doing it for 8 years. I have ADHD, I get bored. I want to do more things, but I also don't like working for other people, so I wanted to just do another something where I was in charge.
I completely understand. I am not one of those people who already had an established business when I began doing cuddle therapy, but what you said reminded me that so many people outside of the cuddle industry do not take us seriously because they're just so brainwashed by capitalism. Like, I will only respect you if you are the CEO of whatever industry you're
ridiculous.
in.
It's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I am proud of my business, but even if I did work at Kohl's or Walmart, I wouldn't give a shit. There's nothing to be ashamed of. People make their money how they want to make their money. We're kind of trained from a young age to do the 9 to 5, graduate college. I didn't graduate college. I went to college, but I didn't graduate. I planned on becoming a social worker and teacher, and then I was like, you know what, this isn't for me, and it wasn't. I found my passion through, it is animals, but it's also in being the boss. But yeah, no, and in regards to cuddle therapy, I mean, yeah, no one takes that seriously. When I tell people I do that, they look at me like I have 2 heads. Well, people pay for a massage, don't they? Obviously, some people need a hug. There's nothing wrong with that. And there is a demand for it. Supply and demand. There's a demand for touch. We supply that for emotional support and all the other reasons. And I wish that it was more normalized. Hopefully, by talking about it more, we can destigmatize.
Absolutely. I would guess that what both of your jobs have in common is that they're both jobs where some pitiful people will say, well, that's cute, but it's not a long-term job. But I believe any job can be long-term if you know how to adapt. It's really hard to make money as an author, but there are full-time authors out there and they make enough to support a family. So while it's not easy, if you know how to adapt, you can thrive in whatever you choose. news.
We're in 2023, people are getting their jobs taken over by robots. This is a job that will never go out of business because we are irreplaceable. People are irreplaceable, and we're so wrapped up in technology and CGI and whatever the hell is going on now. I sound like I'm 80 years old. But you can't replace the touch of another human that like, oh, I just need a hug. I just need, someone to scratch my head or rub my back or, that's never ever going to be, replaceable. So that is something that we have as a leverage, as far as who knows what the world's going to look like in 10 years, but they're still going to need people like us. Like I'm saying, you're always going to need dog walkers. You're always going to need cuddlers. So hopefully I expect to be gainfully employed for the rest of my life.
I've been watching so many YouTube essays about AI. What you just said reminded me of an episode of Black Mirror. So spoiler alert, it's been several years, but there's this one episode, somebody is struggling to deal with the death of, I think, her husband. And so then she gets preyed upon by this company that will create an exact replica of the dead person using their social media. And
oh my God.
It obviously is nothing like the real person themselves. And so she ends up never getting over the death of her husband because she never learns how to properly grieve, whereas most professional cuddlers are capable of helping other people through the grieving process.
Oh yeah, I've definitely had people who have, lost their significant others or lost maybe a parent or a friend. I've had that. I feel like people don't know exactly what they're signing up for with cuddle therapy, and then it's kind of like, in a way it is that you can draw a parallel to regular therapy, because say you go to regular cognitive behavioral therapy for anxiety, boom, 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 3 sessions in, you start talking about your mom and your mommy issues, and you're like, oh, okay, so there's more to it. There's more layers to be seen. So I think that's what happens with cuddle therapy. People come in, they're nervous, they don't know what to say, but once they get over that hump, over the level of kind of awkwardness, that we all experience, for humans, it's like, blah, 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 and, they keep going, and then at the end, it's like, like that sigh of relief. I feel so much better. Like, I feel like just talking and being held in whatever capacity, whatever position we're in, what makes them feel most comfortable, they feel relief. And that's something that I'm happy to say that I can provide, emotional support and just relief from life's stressors.
You answered one of the questions I prepared, which is, what do you love about your work life besides the financial freedom?
Definitely working for myself. When I was younger, I worked at ShopRite and Kohl's and whatever, and I hated it. I never liked having a quote unquote actual job. I shadowed social workers. I was like, oh my God, this is going to be my life. I worked in a hospital. I was like, this doesn't look like a happy future. It really doesn't. When I started my business, I got really into being an entrepreneur. We are all headed into that direction. For a lot of people, college really isn't necessary. Sorry, I really don't think so. I think a lot of people now can learn other skills and trades by not just through life and practice. I love animals and I love people, and I get to work with them on my own terms. That's what I like most about both my businesses. I love animals. I think animals are incredibly healing. I personally suffer from depression and anxiety. I've always found animals to be incredibly healing. And at first, cuddling was just more for financial gain. And then I realized that I was benefiting from it too. I go to regular therapy. Obviously, I like to have it client-centered and client-focused. I don't really delve into my life so much, but I have before, when you meet someone, you're like, oh, I feel really comfortable with you. And you're in that setting, which is intimate. You can't really help but to say what's on your mind. And I felt the same relief that they're experiencing. And I didn't think that I was capable of that. But, I am. I feel like I'm more balanced now, because also keep in mind, working with animals, I don't work with people. I was kind of lonely, all throughout the day. As much as I love it, it was kind of like, oh, well, I wish these animals would talk back. So with the cuddling, get to see people again, talk to people again. So that was something that definitely was beneficial to me and is a personal gain for myself.
You just answered another question that I prepared, which is, has being a professional cuddler helped you in your canine career in any way? And it sounds like being a professional cuddler has helped you connect with other human beings, which animals are great, but they don't talk back like humans.
I'm not going to lie. I've been doing the pet care business for 8 years. Interpersonal skills that I used to have, I didn't have it anymore. And then COVID, it's like I forgot how to talk to people. I was just so used to being around animals all the time. And when you don't work in an environment with a lot of people, and I'm sure people who do work for themselves can contest to this, you kind of feel a little bit of isolation. So, and not just isolation, you start to get annoyed by people because you're just not used to it. It's too much. I get very overwhelmed. I have ADHD. I get like too much talking, too much loud noises. So I was kind of like, in a weird way, it was making me like bitter, I guess. It wasn't making me feel good. I love my job. I'll never give that up. But I missed people and I didn't even realize that I did. And I missed talking to people and I didn't realize that the isolation kind of made me like a bitch. Like it really did. Like I kept saying like, I hate people. That's why I work with animals. And I'm like, wait, no, I don't. I wanted to be a social worker. I wanted to be a teacher. I love people. And that part of me, it died for a little bit. The cuddling kind of woke me back up to like, oh shit, I need people to survive. Humans are irreplaceable. We need not just the talking, but touch, the intimacy, the closeness of another warm body. You can't beat it.
You can. You answered my other question, which is, does your pet sitting job interfere with your snuggly job? So it sounds like, yes, COVID did take a huge toll, or the pandemic take a huge toll on you. I don't know if you ever caught COVID. I have. It sounds like isolation from other humans is what interfered with your mental health.
Absolutely.
Snuggling strangers, believe it or not, is what made you feel better.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I also, right after my business started back up again, but I also went through a really nasty breakup, and then I lived on my own for the first time, which was, you know, I in the past suffered from codependency. So I was like, how the hell am I going to do this by myself? Now I love living alone. I don't know how I'll ever not live alone, but I do very much enjoy my clients. It's nice to have someone in your bed sometimes, not, and again, not in a sexual way, but just like kind of just a vent to talk to. Like I miss that. I really did. And yeah, I have friends, I have family. Like I said, at first it was all financial for me and it was just another way to make money, but I definitely found a lot of benefits as well.
I really love when clients hold space for us. I do cuddle some pretty antisocial people, but there's a lot of clients I cuddle who they're just so smart. I'll just walk in and I'll be like, okay, I've had a rough week. And then they'll be like, okay, tell me about it. And it's, I don't want to say that they're therapizing me, but they're holding space for me.
Yes, that's a really nice way to put it. That's exactly right. They, first of all, a lot of them come in nervous, which is totally normal. So I feel like sometimes I have to kickstart the conversation. And then with my yappy mouth, I won't shut up. What do you want to talk about? And they're like, no, I love listening to you. And you're right. They do hold space for us. Some people prefer to be listeners than talkers. Some people prefer to be on the other side of that. But that is comforting to them in itself. That's a whole nother realm of comfort for them. Because some of them are really good. They give me really good advice. They give me good business advice. I meet so many different people, different walks of life, and I'm learning from them. And that's what I have lacked with the pet care business. Yeah, I learned things about like animal behavior. I didn't know a lot of people. I've lost a lot of people. I've isolated myself. And then cuddling was kind of a way for me to get back into being myself again and making connections. That's what I'm trying to say, making connections. I've met wonderful people who have helped me with my business, who are helping me with life. Again, you can't replace that with an AI.
I'm very, very glad you've met so many wonderful cuddle clients. How often do you meet other cuddle providers?
I've never met another cuddle provider in person. I got trained through Cuddlist, and there's a like Cuddlist Facebook group. They're all very kind and very nice, but this is not an oversaturated market. I don't know anyone who does this. I wish I did. I wish I did have like cuddle therapy friend who I could like talk. I have other pet care owner friends, and that, you know, something I relate to, but I don't know anyone who does cuddle therapy, and I wish I did. I really do.
I don't know much about the cuddle industry in New Jersey, nor do I know about it in New York, but I'm just going to take a wild guess and assume that there are cuddle providers in New York City. And it's strange because I recently researched the cuddle industry in South America. When I looked at all the major cities, Rio de Janeiro, I couldn't find anyone. Then I would look at the lesser populated, like the more in the middle cities, I found them. I'm like, oh, that's strange, because here in the United States, when it comes to major cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, there are plenty of cuddle providers. So I would assume that New York City is not an exception.
Oh, I mean, you would find anyone that does anything in New York City. New York City is like, do you want to find someone that will paint your feet green? Yep, go to New York City. I'm sure there's someone there who'll do it. That's how New York City is. But New Jersey, it's kind of, I don't want to say we're more conservative conservative, I mean, we are, unfortunately, especially like where I live, and the more conservative people are, the less likely they are to accept jobs like this because they associate it with sex work. I am super pro sex work. It's kind of like a sister business to it. At the end of the day, people are paying for intimacy, whether it's sexual or not. So they kind of look at it as like, you're basically selling your body or whatever. And I'm like, well, you know, people sell their bodies when they go work for 80 hours a week at a corporate job. It's a bunch of hypocrisy, really, it is.
What you just said is so powerful, and I never phrased it like that before. Professional cuddling is like a sister job to sex work.
Yeah.
I read comments all the time on the internet like, isn't this just another genre of sex work? I know that is very triggering to a lot of cuddle therapists. I think it's a sister job to sex work is such a poignant way of phrasing it. I will say,
although it is platonic, it's still, you're paying for touch. I also think massage therapy is a sister job to sex work. It is not sex work, but it's a subset of the category of paying for intimacy, paying for touch. And that's what we provide. Why do we get massages? Besides health benefits of it, but I like to be touched. People have to understand that it does not have to be a sexual thing to be touched. People who don't have any, like you said, a lot of clients are antisocial. That's why they come to us. They don't have a lot of friends. They don't have a lot of family. They are touch starved, which is a term that I only learned when I started doing cuddle therapy. It's kind of like box babies, like when babies are born, put up for adoptions or foster homes. Like they don't get the skin to skin contact. They grow up in an environment where they're not hugged, and that can cause later problems in life. They've done studies on it, on box babies, what they call them. I think the same thing can go for people, can go for adults. If you went a whole year without touching someone, without being touched, I think it would really mess with your mind. I really do believe that.
when you started living alone, did you start living alone prior to March of 2020?
After.
Oh, after. But I've never lived alone, so I couldn't possibly imagine learning how to live alone during lockdown.
I mean, I had a drug addict boyfriend. I probably would have been better.
Yeah.
And I was also living with my brother, too. It was like the three of us living together. And although it was dysfunctional, still like, oh my God, I don't know how am I supposed to be alone all day, which is something that I did kind of feel. Once my ex and I broke up, I lived in this apartment alone, and I was only doing the pet care business at the time. Besides the friends that I see ever so often, I was alone, very like, oh my God, this is scary.
I hope that if any cuddle clients are listening to this, they not only learn about the cuddle therapy options available to them, but I hope they learn how to be alone in a healthy way. Not necessarily like living literally by yourself. There are healthy things you can do on your own. I know there's a stigma between going to the movie theater.
I love going anywhere by myself. Like after a long day of walking dogs, there's this outside bar near me, and I bring a book and I get a cold beer after walking like 20 dogs. And there's nothing more annoying than someone coming down there like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, my head is in a book. But sometimes you have to learn how to live alone, especially someone who was like myself. I was very codependent. I needed to learn how to love my alone time and appreciate it and respect it and practice self-care. You have to love your own company. If you don't love your own company, how could you expect other people to love your company?
I get a couple of clients who are going through breakups. I ask them, well, what was the relationship like? And then they basically describe a codependent relationship. And I'm like, okay, you gotta unlearn all those unhealthy habits that you picked up in that relationship. You do not want to be bringing that into your present relationships with your friends and family, and you don't want to bring that to a future romantic relationship.
I think a lot of people, you see it all the time, they're like serial monogamous. They go from one relationship to the next, with their relationship hopping. And I'm like, did you even heal though? I think that you should be single. I mean, there's no time exactly, but people who get into relationships literally like weeks or a month after, I'm just like, did you breathe? Did you process the other relationship yet before stepping into new territory? Because you are still bringing all of that shit into your new relationship, which is not healthy. But I understand it. People who grow up with shitty home lives, usually they will gravitate towards partners, sexual partners, lovers, roommates, just anything to fill the void without ever processing their past traumas, their triggers, yada, yada, yada. So living alone for me has been extremely beneficial in my healing journey. I think I'll always be a little codependent and I will have those tendencies because it's part of me, but I'm learning how to be independent and enjoy it.
Another group of cuddle clients I get are people who are unhappily married. Now, I don't want to put this on a metric scale, like they're unhappy 10% of the time or 90% of the time, but it does seem like people older than us got married because they felt this societal pressure, like their family told them, you need to be married by the time you're 21. There are plenty of people who get married young and they're happily married, and I'm so happy for them. You know, when you're like 21, you don't know what you want.
People who are still like with their high school sweethearts, I'm like, how do you even know what you like? And I'm not just talking about sexually. Our brains weren't fully developed to make those executive decisions. That's who I want to be with for the rest of my life. That's a huge commitment. Whatever, that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I get that a lot. Usually it's men who are like a loveless marriage. Yeah, that's when sometimes I do get the occasional, are you open-minded? Because blah, blah, blah. And then they'll get into the whole, hey, do you provide extras? And I'm like, no. But there's some people who are very respectful and cool. And they always put it in there like, this is so embarrassing to say. And I'm like, oh my, it's not embarrassing. Like, just say it. And they're like, I just want a hug. And I'm just like, I got you, bro. Like, let's hug. Let's watch a movie. You know, like sometimes it's just company that people need. You can have intimacy without sex. So that's what we provide. I couldn't imagine being in a loveless marriage where you're just living with this person, but there's no relationship anymore. That must be really sad.
You're very gutsy. I would have not done this. I would imagine if you live in a conservative area that you wouldn't be so open about being a cuddle therapist, but I saw you advertising on Nextdoor.
Yeah.
Of all places, like they attract conservatives like flies to honey.
Like flies on dog shit, yeah.
Flies on dog shit.
I'll be honest with you, I did do a lot of online sex work when I was 18. I've always been very sexually liberated. I don't really give a shit what people think. I do on a larger scale, but I've always had the mentality of, screw you, I'm going to do whatever I want because this is my life. You don't know what I've been through. This is how I make my money. And if you don't like it, don't look. 100%, I do live in a definitely more conservative than like New York City or California. Once you start going to like the Jersey Shore, which you think wouldn't be, it gets really weirdly Trumpy. Because I also advertise my pet care business on Nextdoor, and I just started posting the cuddle business also on Facebook, and that's where I have like my mom and like my mom's friends and my family. And one time mom was like, what the hell is this, Kate? What the hell are you doing? And I was like, cuddle therapy. She's like, what's cuddle therapy? And then of course I had to explain it to her, tell her that it's okay, like I'm safe, I take precautions, so not a stranger to
ostracization.
yeah, or being judged. The older I get, the less shit I give. I feel like I'm doing something good, and it makes me feel good, and it makes my clients feel good, and I have no shame in that. Shamelessly, I will continue to post on Nextdoor. I pay for Facebook ads, got a lot of traction. I did do Craigslist, but I'm not gonna lie, I got a lot of undesirables on there, so that was hit or miss. But yeah.
I've also tried to advertise on Craigslist, and it's just impossible to advertise your cuddle therapy services if you don't already have a domain website, which sucks because that's very expensive. Not all of us can afford that.
I got my website done for like $300, and I'm not saying that's super cheap, but my pet care business, it cost me $2,000 to make, and it's a great website. That was my cousin. She's like, oh, it's a family discount. I was like, what?
Family discount?
Now I'm obsessed with Fiverr. Fiverr. I love it. Both my businesses for marketing, advertising, logos, banners, car magnets, everything. I got this guy. He was professional. He did it in a timely manner. He built my cuddling website, cuddleswithkate.com, if you want to check it out, less than a week for a very low price.
That's very good.
I know. I was expecting some like whack ass, what is it?
Like blogger?
Not GoDaddy, whatever. Just like I thought it was going to be some like half ass, but I was like, oh my God, this looks like not that much different from my other website, you know, and it was extremely good quality. So I'm very grateful that I found him. He's updated it. He's made changes for me. I get what you're saying. Like, first of all, Craigslist already has a bad rep. Anything you post on Craigslist that has to do with what we're doing, people automatically assume it's like a rub and tug. But when I say, please refer to my website, website, then they're like, okay, now I understand what you do because I was taught how to do this. So the website was definitely a way to break down what cuddle therapy really is.
I am in the process of making a website for my podcast. I do have an FAQ page, which will have answers to commonly asked questions by Cuddle clients. And if people want to book me for cuddles through my podcast website, that's totally fine with me.
That's great.
I don't plan on getting a podcast website and just a website for cuddle bookings. That would be too much for me. I feel like, okay, websites do show your personality, but there are other ways. If a person listening cannot afford to start their own website, there are other ways to show your personality before you even send your first email to a client.
Social media is wonderful, and it's a free way to get yourself out there. I mean, look at what's happened over the last few years. People have one viral TikTok, and then that's it. That's it for them. They made it. The right people see your shit, that's it. You kind of blow up, you go viral. And that's not what I'm expecting or even hoping to happen with my cuddle business, because there's only one of me. If someone just sees the ad without a picture, without anything, just cuddle therapy, though, what the hell is this? What does it include? It's not common sense. I always say common sense isn't common. They don't know the full scope of it. Yeah, I totally agree. Please, I'm constantly balling on a budget. Going on social media, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, beautiful way to advertise yourself and show your personality, show people what you're all about. I had to recently go on there and tell people that what I do is platonic. I had to state that. I'll always find a way to get my name out there, whether people like it or not.
You just answered my question about what are some unconventional ways you can advertise your cuddle practice. And while I do endorse using social media to show off your personality, I do think being listed on at least one cuddle website is a good idea. I don't do this, but I know some people have a wish list, like on Wish Tender or Amazon wish list. You can add things that have to do with your hobby that in a way can show your personality, but also if there are generous clients out there, they can get you a toy for your dog or something for rock climbing. I personally don't want to have a wish list.
No, I totally get other ways, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many ways to brand nowadays without spending. Cuddlist, they do this is something I don't know if I'd ever do. I was thinking, well, I can now. I live in a one bedroom, but if I had space, I might do a cuddle party. I know a lot of Cuddlist therapists do cuddle parties, which I think is really cool. They advertise. I was at some fair, when you could be a vendor and you could promote your services. It was kind of like that, and that's how they got their name up. I thought it was really cool and really admirable. I'm all about building strategic business alliances, with my pet care business. So I'll go to pet care supply places, training academies to promote myself in that area. Where am I going to really promote my cuddling business? I can figure it out. It's also when something is new to someone, they're scared of it. You go in there and be like, hi, I'm a cuddle therapist. So they're like, get the hell out of my facility. I don't know what you do. Is this a front for whatever? People fear what they don't understand. So that's why branding is so important, to let people know who you are, what you do, what you stand for in other ways besides just the website.
When 2020 hit, were you considering closing one or all of your businesses?
Well, I didn't start the cuddle business. It's been less than a year.
Oh, yeah.
Actually. Yeah. No, I would never. I fought tooth and nail for my pet care business. I mean, it was very scary because at one point people didn't need me. No one was going away. Everyone was working from home, so I didn't need a dog walker. I had a few loyal clients who still had me come because they didn't want me to lose my income. I never thought about closing. I thought about doing other things. Recently, I kind of got out of the sex work industry, which is, again, I'm still super pro sex work, pro sex positivity, liberation. I mean, that's a whole different topic. But I saw the cuddling thing on, I think, TikTok. And I mean, I've already heard about it before, years ago. And I was like, that can't be a thing. And then I saw someone who I now follow on Instagram who would talk about cuddle therapy. I'm like, this is awesome. This is amazing. This is something that I could do. You gotta think outside the box. I want to do something that not everyone does. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I never wanted to work in an oversaturated market. I mean, pet care, getting there, not gonna lie. But not everyone offers overnights in your home. Not everyone offers pet taxi services. So I always try to go a little bit above and beyond to make myself stand out.
You remind me of myself in so many ways. But you've been doing this for a tiny, tiny fraction of how long I've been doing this. So I really do envy you because you're just so innovative. And I was not like that early on in my career. About 2 months after I started doing professional cuddling, I kid you not, literally every client within the first June that I was doing this, sexually assaulted me.
Oh my
At that
God.
point, I was like,
Right.
I'm seriously considering no longer doing this, but I persevered. Like, I considered stopping during that month, but I didn't really oh, thank you. I didn't consider stopping when March 2020 hit. I was like, okay, I will shelter in place while the country's in lockdown, but once that lockdown lifts, I am back. I am gonna get all my vaccinations, and I am going to rise like a phoenix. I recently made a TikTok about this, but a pandemic cannot stop cuddle therapy.
It can't stop anything. It also made people innovative. It made people savvy on how to make money in different ways. We all had to get creative. People who didn't have the backup plan or the parents to live with, like I wasn't even getting stimulus checks because...
Me neither.
Yeah, I was like, shit, how do I survive? I kind of wish I found it sooner to understand, like, I already had the knowledge of, like, how to run and facilitate a business from just a marketing perspective and branding perspective, that I already kind of had that going into it. I probably would have been the same as you, like, what do I do? How do I do this? How do I put my name out there? I kind of took some material from what I did with my pet care business and I integrated it into my cuddle business.
Okay, so if somebody has not been doing professional cuddling for a while, but they're on the fence about starting yet another business, do you think they should focus on one business for a while and then pursue other interests? Or do you think if this piques your interest, you should just go for it?
It's kind of circumstantial. Like, one, how much money do you need? How much money do you have? You do have to spend money to make money. At this point in my pet care business, I'm doing very well. I'm not even close to where I want to be, but I'm scaling, I'm hiring. I learned how to multitask. And time management is so important. I'm not a, work hard, play hard, grinding for 13 hours, and killing yourself mentally. I think that's bullshit. I think people should allow themselves to live comfortable lives. And that's what working for yourself, it gives you the freedom to do so. So if you have the time, the energy, the resources to have two businesses, and that's something that you really want to do, and you can do it without burning yourself out, I say absolutely go for it. I think it's a great idea. It's always good to have a backup plan. It's always good to have other options. It's always good to mix it up a little bit and, have different things to do, different people to meet. So for me, it was like a no-brainer. If this was 5 years ago, when I was still like, how do I run a pet care business, yada, 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 I don't think I would have done this. I needed to be more. My advice is don't start another business unless your first business is established and you know exactly what you're doing. And now I have help. Now I have staff. So there's things that I could delegate them to do while I work on my cuddling business.
I am learning so much from you. I'm just so grateful to be blessed with your advice. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I believe there's only one question left, and that is, what advice would you give a cuddle provider who wants to quit to pursue a different job but is struggling to find one? I feel like this is so topical because the job market right now is hot garbage.
I haven't had the best luck in life, but I did get lucky. I worked hard for it, but I'm very happy with my job because I'm just like, what would I do if I didn't have it? Where the hell would I be working? Wait, I'm sorry, what was the question? What was the question again? I'll answer it.
What advice would you give a cuddle provider who wants to quit to pursue a different job but is struggling to find one?
There's a lot of questions to that, like, why are they quitting?
Okay, so I am currently in the process of becoming a dance teacher. The training is like 6 weeks long. It's a lot of collaborating with other aspiring teachers and people who are established teachers. Not that I want to quit professional cuddling, but for example, I've been trying to do a lot of dance gigs in San Francisco, and San Francisco is ripe with dance gigs, but those are one-time only things. Being a dance teacher, that's a more stable source of income.
Yes, because you could do that kind of anywhere.
Yeah, but it is competitive. A lot of people want to be a dance teacher, and so what advice would you give someone trying to quit their cuddle job but is struggling?
Well, it's kind of like, I'm really big on like, don't go to the next step until you're covered financially. No offense to my mom. She would always quit her job without having a backup plan, having another one put in place, and that's something that I learned like not to do. So my advice to anyone, regardless of the reason, just make sure that you're prepared for some financial fallback. There's going to be months where you're scrambling for money, counting your pennies, shit like that. You're building yourself from the bottom up again. You're starting over, which is terrifying, but it's also extremely courageous at any age when someone decides to start something new. No matter what the reason is, I'm always for pursuing your dream or whatever that is. What I'm trying to say is, if you're prepared and you're ready to struggle a little bit and you have a business plan figured out, I'm all about business plans. You gotta have a business plan. I always tell people that go for it. I used to be really impulsive, very like, oh, I'm just gonna quit this, do that, I'll figure it out. And then there were times when I'm like, oh shit, I can't figure it out, I'm screwed. That's my advice, is to be prepared to struggle. Make it so that you don't have to struggle so hard.
I want to pursue so many artsy ventures. Like, I want to be an author. I would never leave professional cuddling to pursue authorship, but I really want to create things that will outlive me. Like, I invest so much money into making dance films. They don't get that many views on YouTube, but I am happy to create art that will outlive me. And books have been around for quite some time. I don't think they're going to go away.
I love that.
Honestly, when I meet up with a lawyer and we talk about what will happen after I die, I need to add a clause that's like, this person needs to keep my podcast, keep it running.
I thought about that. But yeah, that's how I feel about my pet care business. I mean, if I ever do have children someday, I would like to give it to them. I want it to be like a family business. I want a legacy. That's not something I think of, because if I think about death, I'll have a panic attack. But, you know, it is something that we all have to consider, because at the end of the day, we can all die tomorrow. Who knows? I get what you're saying. Like, you want to live on in whatever capacity. Like, your spirit lives on, your writing lives on, your dance videos, your podcast lives on beyond your physical body. I think that's beautiful. Yeah.
The podcasting industry is still in its wild west stage. Same with cuddle industry, but there's not that many regulations yet. I mean, Canada's trying to regulate. I haven't heard any updates with their bill, but there's this one bill that will, I forget the exact name of the bill, but there's a Canadian bill that will regulate people who make a lot of money online. So, you know, influencers, podcast hosts. I think it like suppresses people's voices, which I hate that. And so I do worry about the future. There's a writer's strike going on in the US for television and film writers, and it's like, fuck. What if the streaming services are like, fuck you, and just burning of Library of Alexandria and just rip it all from the internet? I'm scared.
I don't see that happening, because we are such a power. I mean, this generation itself is such a powerful force. We want our voices to be heard a lot. You know, like that. We're in the age of podcasts, TikToks. I hear it from different people all the time. Like, they can't shut us up. So I'm not really worried about that stuff. I feel like podcasting is so wonderful. Like, there's so many different types of podcasts. Like, you could literally type in everything, get all this information. Quite honestly, I learned more on TikTok, YouTube, and podcasts than I did at Rutgers University, or at least I retained it more, because I looked for things that, you know, I was taking like quantitative, whatever the fuck. It was, oh god, boring. But now I'm like, how do I do my own bookkeeping? How do I market? How do I brand? The things that I'm really interested in, you know, just being a business owner. And I'm in a business program right now that is tailored exclusively to pet sitters. Did you would anyone ever think that was a thing? No, but my point is, there's a thing for everyone. There's a learning tool for everyone. That's what I think is so great about. Of course, there's downsides to influence culture and social media for sure, which is a whole different topic. But I also think it's extremely beneficial for people who have something to say. I mean, alone, we've been able to start movements and start conversations and change people's opinions about things. I mean, that's a beautiful thing about social media. So I'm not too worried about that. Look, anything could happen. Look what just happened with like the Canadian fires. I didn't expect the outside to be yellow and hazy and the sun looking like it was gonna burn. You never know what's gonna happen, is my point. So you kind of just have to take every single day and do, damn, I was killing it and now I can't finish. Live every day like it's your last. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. Live every day the way that you want to. That's what I'm trying to say.
I've been keeping up with the news, and I heard about the fires in New England, and I feel bad that I didn't ask you how are you, but I can tell that you are very resilient.
It was bad. I was freaking out, because like, you have to understand, this happened super quickly. I was taking a nap, and then I was like, sometimes there's someone in the building that like smokes outside, right outside the building. You know, you're not supposed to smoke on the property. And I was gonna text like the apartment group chat, be like, who the fuck's smoking Newports again? And then I went outside to walk my dog. I was like, holy shit. It was scary. I saw the smoke, and I saw like the sun. The sun was like a weird neon red orangey, and I was like, oh my god, like the world's ending. And I have super bad anxiety. So in my head, I was like, oh my god, like this is it. Like we're done. This is it. Bye. Like, it was nice knowing you guys. You know, pardon my naivety, but like, I did not know that smoke can travel that far. I did not know that it could travel 500 miles, which it did, from Quebec to, you know, the East Coast of, you know, America. We were hit. I think the main areas were like New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, other places around here. And the air quality was 244. So normal air quality is around between 30 and 40. It was 244, which is insane. It's unhealthy. It was brutal. It was like, oh my God, it was was terrifying. I felt like I wasn't even in America. So I couldn't do dog walks for like 3 days. And thank God it was only 3 days, and now things are getting better here anyway. I don't know about Canada. I just want to say shout out to those sexy ass firefighters who are saving everyone's lives, because we really couldn't do without you.
I'll drink to that. I think that is a good note to end on. I like ending on a positive note. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You have been so open and raw about your recent experiences, your experiences in university. I'm sure I'm a bit traumatized from university, and I've yet to unpack that.
I think that's shit, yeah. But yeah, you're right. Let's end it on a positive note to say, bless the sexy firefighters who are out saving lives, and bless all the cuddle therapists across the world who are providing comfort one touch at a time.
That's so poetic.
I try.
I am not that poetic when I end my episodes, but thank you for ending this episode on a poetic
absolutely
speech. Plug yourself, say your website, say the usernames, all that good stuff.
So for cuddling, my Instagram is at Cuddles with Kate, CUDDLES with WITHKATE, and then that's the same thing with my website and the same thing with my Facebook. For my pet sitting business, Kate's Canine Care. Canine is fully spelled out C-A-N-I-N-E, so it's Kate's Canine Care. You could same thing, website, Instagram, Facebook. Follow me, reach out. You know, I love to talk about business, cuddling, animals, sex work, sexy firefighters. Hit me up. Let's chat. We're all multifaceted. We're not just our jobs. We're not just one thing. That's just simply a part of us. It's not all of us. I went on my first podcast a couple weeks ago, actually. This is my second one. Yeah, I'm new to this, and I love it. Now I'm like, oh my God, does anyone else want to hear from me? Like,
I look forward to seeing you blossom into an even more successful human being.
Thank you so much, and I wish you the very best of luck with being a dance teacher, and I know you will be.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Rhetorical question. Isn't Kate lovely, y'all? Kate, thank you so much for reminding me every couple of days that I need to get this episode done in June. For those of you, if this is your first episode of Pro Cuddle Hustle, I was all over the place in North America. I was in Baltimore, I was in San Francisco, I was in the Inland Empire in SoCal, I was in Toronto. I was doing so much traveling that I don't know if I should say neglected my work, because professional cuddlers like me deserve enjoyable vacation. Not every vacation needs to be a work vacation. But she texted me every couple of days saying, how's the progress? And she would text me photos of herself so I could make a thumbnail on Canva. And no, I'm not getting paid to say that. As I record this, I am, for lack of better words, sick. I got mosquito bites everywhere. I got numerous bruises and whatnot going on in my mouth. So it does hurt to speak. I need to keep this outro very brief. So please look in the description for this, whether you're on some podcasting app or on YouTube. I greatly, greatly appreciate those who comment and rate on Apple Podcasts. Please support me wherever you listen to podcasts. Please monetarily support me on Patreon, patreon.com/Felicity Azara. That is patreon.com/Felicity. That's FELICITY Azura, AZURA. Please follow me on social media. All right, catch y'all later. You have been listening to episode 29 of Pro Cuddle Hustle podcast.